go for 3 minutes as we allow people. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, first of the month, December 1st, 2021, final quarter. This is the Urban Chambers Coming to You Global Roundtable. We're going to wait a few minutes for people to come on in and take your time. We have an awesome speaker today. And we'll be right back with you. Give about 3 minutes for people to start clocking in on Zoom. We're doing hybrid, so we are online as well as in person here at the Urban Chambers on this beautiful blue sky day, Wednesday. Get your coffee. Did you guys get coffee or something to drink? You guys are good? Water? Okay, very good. Okay.
But I know you might just have donuts and stuff like that. Not that I'm against donuts and pastry, but I'm not for it. So, crazy.
Come on in. We're logging in. We are recording this so we can share it on the YouTube. I guess we can close the door. I appreciate you. Thanks, Jerry. Everybody's got really busy schedules, and so I love recording online with Zoom so it can be shared through YouTube, the Urban Chamber YouTube, and we'll be putting links to our guests as to reaching out with any questions that you have. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you for coming in. We know this is recorded. My name is Tiffany Meza-Hellor, and I am here with the Urban Chambers, and this is the second Global Roundtable of 2021. Our first one was last month. It's the first Wednesday of every month. And today we have a really informed guest, a representative that I'm excited to introduce to you. His name is Hector Rodriguez, and he is coming from the U.S. Commercial Service Department of Commerce. He is our Senior International Trade Specialist. The Urban Chamber Global Roundtable's mission really is just to get information to our small business owners locally here in Las Vegas and across the state to understand what it is to think bigger outside of the box, if you're not already, about bridging relationships with your small businesses globally. Las Vegas has a lot already in motion, and every single day policies are changing on a national level, and it is affecting our local Las Vegas community because of what we do here in Las Vegas, right? We tend to global markets. So without further ado, Hector, I'm so excited to have you today, and please explain to us and educate us about our export opportunities and resources for U.S. companies in regards to Las Vegas, the state of Nevada.
Thank you, Tiffany. And as the slides are populating, okay, there we go. I'll introduce myself. Hector Rodriguez, as Tiffany said, I am a federal employee. I do work for the U.S. Department of Commerce. And in any big organization, there's a lot of branches and bureaus, but the main thing is that it's the Department of Commerce. and my sliver of government is to provide export assistance to companies that are thinking either to enter the market or expand internationally. And I've been with the Department of Commerce for 15 years now. And my family and I, we moved here to Las Vegas 6 years ago. So in 2015, and started my field work, working directly with US companies. In headquarters, it was more of a bird's eye view, doing the policy, doing trade missions, doing bigger projects. Here it's one-on-one with companies, better understanding what they're doing, where they want to go, and helping them expand. Slide 2 is the agenda. If we can move to that. And I already mentioned who we are. There's a little snippet that I'll show. I want you to read it. That way you can actually see that there is a mandate for us, for my position and for all the positions that are out there in the domestic field. I also showcase the domestic and our international reach. The programs that we have, from the bird's eye view, the policy ones like Prosper Africa Looks Out, to how that incorporates and provides us with supporting companies in the US via our local operations here in Southern Nevada. And then just as I mentioned with how we also, since there's only 2 of us in our office, how we utilize strategic partnerships to increase our reach. Next slide. This is the who we are slide, and I apologize about this, but if you can just click it 3 times to put everything on the, there you go. So the first part is the trade promotion, arm of the federal government. You can go back 1 slide, please. And as I mentioned, it's statutorily mandated. And if you look at the underlying text, it says to promotion of export of goods or services from the United States. And under that, it shows particularly by small businesses and medium size. So that's all that we do. We don't deal with importing. We don't deal with domestic sales. We focus on companies, small and medium size, that are looking to export outside the country. And there's a few caveats to that, but that's really it's a statutory mandate by Congress for the Department of Commerce. Next slide. And this is a good part here. If you look at this map, it shows pictures of all cities throughout the US, from Los Angeles, Nevada to Connecticut. We have wherever there's a major city, and even we have like an office in North Dakota as well, in Fargo. So we also do rural outreach. Same here in Las Vegas. We can go to Mesquite, we can go to Pahrump. We're allowed to venture out to find those companies that are in rural America that also have a solution to sell internationally. So even if you move from Las Vegas and you go to another city and I've helped you, just know that wherever you go, there is an office that can assist you. It doesn't just end here in Las Vegas. Next slide. Internationally, we're in over 75 countries. You can see the black dots throughout the map. Wherever we have a US embassy or a US consulate, that's where we have an office. Where we don't have an office, we have a partnership with the Department of State, and they have economic officers that provide the same services that we provide when we have an office. They have a less bandwidth, but we can provide support. Ecuador is a country that doesn't have we don't have an office, but the economic officers from the State Department. Ivory Coast is another country that doesn't have a commerce office, but we do provide support as well. So even though we don't have an office there, we still can provide support to US companies. One note on this network, well, who's helping you on the other side? We have our colleagues that are working at the US Embassy in the Commerce Office, and most of them are usually born in their respective country, did their studies either here or in somewhere, but they went back to their home country and now they're working for for the US government. And they typically have 10 to 20 years of experience. They are experts in their industry. And without them, you as a company cannot get the service that we can provide. And we'll go over those things in a few. Next slide. So here's the list of the global team programs that we have. And if you can look at those 3 columns, we have industry teams, well, actually 3 columns, but there's only 2, industry and then regional. Anywhere from healthcare, travel and tourism, aerospace. And then if you look on the right side, that regional teams, we have Africa, Middle East, we have Asia, China, Europe, rural, and trade Americas. Those teams are internal. And my colleagues, either whether here in the US or in their respective countries, are part of that team. And think of it as a like a brain think tank, right? All the leads, all the opportunities that they find, all the market intelligence that we believe it makes sense for US companies to receive. We put that all together, and via the teams, we send it out. Under the title, it says subscribe. You can go to that button, and we can share the slides later. And if healthcare is what your industry, then you can receive the healthcare newsletter. Some are once a month, some are every quarter, but it provides opportunity, the international opportunities available for that sector. Next slide. Which comes to our programs, right? These are the 3 big ones that we have right now: Prosper Africa, the PAC, which is the President Advisory Council, doing business in Africa. We have the Minority Business Development Agency with the Enterprising Women of Color Initiative. In 2014, I put a note there, Look South Initiative. That was, in that era, companies would only look to Mexico. So the administration said, well, let's look further south too. Don't just stop in Mexico. We have Central America and South America. So that was an initiative that attempted to broaden the view of companies. And with all these programs, these are each administration brings their bullets on how they're gonna their bullet points on how they're gonna do their business, their 4 years or 8 years. And Prosper Africa, there's actually all the agencies, Department of Commerce, Energy, Treasury, USDA, USAID, all of them are part of that program. And again, this is a bird's eye view, right? So I'll talk right now on the next slide on how we actually provide the ground game, because this is the goals and the vision, right? And the bottom line, for an example, for Prosper Africa, it's exactly that. How can we do more engagement, more business with Africa? That's it. That's the top line view. Let's engage. Let's put that at the forefront, and let's do more trade missions. Let's do more services. Let's do more everything in support of companies going to Africa, and of course, foreign direct investment back into the US. Next slide. And these are services, domestic and international, that my office, that I can provide for you. Anything that I provide here in the US is free. Like as long as you already paid your taxes, hey, my salary is covered. My services are for you, they're free. Anything that there are fee-based services when we go out to the US Embassy, because that's added work that's not part of their day-to-day operations. But from my office, we provide export counseling in learning which markets make sense for you. Market intelligence, again, we have reports, and then we have just day-to-day information of what's going on. Matchmaking, because we live in Las Vegas, that's a really convenient pre-pandemic with all the trade shows. We had a lot of opportunities where local companies here in Las Vegas, whether even if you didn't, if you don't have a product or service to sell internationally, we supported restaurants, fixed locations where if you wanted a group of 30, 40 people to go have dinner at your location, and then we would try to let them know, don't just stay on the strip. Here are other opportunities in Las Vegas. I put a note there for the Rwanda business delegation. I received an email last week, I believe, or the week prior, on a possible reverse trade mission, which is basically a Rwandan delegation organized by X wanting to come to the US for business. They didn't go through the proper channels through our US Embassy, so I kicked it back to my colleagues, and they're having a conversation with them to make sure that they're vetted and we know who they are. Because just because they're coming to the US doesn't mean I'm going to put them in front of you, because we need to make sure that they're legitimate, they actually say who they are, and they have, again, for our point of view, they want to buy US goods. We don't want you to meet them and they want to sell you something, right? And then of course with the trade shows that I mentioned, internationally, trade missions, trade shows, and then the fee-based services that I mentioned. There's a few of them. What else there? I think we go to the next slide there. And here I broke it up in three parts: international travel, what the federal government does, state does, and what you do, right? Federal government, we have a bunch of annual events that we focus on. Trade Winds is a one where we're working on right now. It's March 2022 to the Middle East. We selected 8 countries in that region to focus on, and about 28 Nevada companies applied. We're going through the vetting process and sending out invitations on who was selected. On a normal year, we have about 350 US companies attend Trade Winds, and basically it's a big trade mission, but we call, the US government calls it Trade Winds, and we focus on a region. Next year, 2023, could be South America, or it could be Asia or Africa, or we pick a region every year. And then we do individual countries or regions trade mission to South Africa. That's happening April 2022. If you're exhibiting internationally, we provide support at the big trade shows. So if you are exhibiting, let me know and I'll find out what type of support we're providing. That way the goal is to get buyers at your booth, right? The goal is for set those meetings up so you can make some sales, or whatever you're looking to do, distributorship, whatever the end goal is for you. State organized events, they overlap with ours. The state of Nevada is doing a trade mission that coincides. That's basically the Trade Winds, right? So they're taking all these companies from Nevada as a group to Trade Winds. So whoever gets invited, the state of Nevada is gonna help. That's gonna be there with them. They're also planning to do a trade mission to Europe, and I feel now that things are easing a bit. Delegations are visiting the state of Nevada, and there are foreign delegations coming in, and they usually contact the appropriate industries for meetings. And then business travel. I have companies who tell me, oh, I went to China and I had a meeting, and I can't believe that they did that. They went to China for one meeting, because that's a long way to go for one meeting. For I don't know how well that meeting went, but part of the program that we have, the fee-based services, we can set up 5 to 6 meetings for you on any of your business or personal trips. That way you're going there. If the market is viable, we can find those companies or government or whoever you want to talk to have meetings for. So don't leave the country on a business trip for one meeting. Make it 7. Let me help you out. We can do that. You're already paying your airfare, hotel. It's one more day or squeeze into that same day. Those meetings could occur. Next slide. Our clientele, as I mentioned, 80% are small and medium-sized companies. We do work with startups, although depending on where they are on their in their business, we do have the SBA that has SCORE and other providers that provide that sounding board to make sure that you have everything in line. I'm not that sounding board. If a company comes to me like that, I'll refer them to the SBA. I can help. I can only help companies that are ready to that have the capital, that have the interest of expanding internationally, right? Like doing a trade show. If you have a budget set forth. If you're just starting out, it's it makes sense to start domestically. But I'll hear you out. Some products and solutions are for the international market. So, but most likely I'll refer you to the SBA and SCORE. Who's my client? Any company that is in the US that their product contains at least 51% US content. The other 2 points, yes, it's true, US citizen, you don't have to be, but think of it as, we want the money to come back to the US. We want the money to come back to Las Vegas, to Nevada. We don't want, we can't help a company that brings in a product, puts a bow on it, and then resells it without any major changes to it. It's not considered, in the eyes of the federal government, it's not considered US product. It has to be manufactured here and contain at least 51% US content. Next slide. Aha, Margie Traxler. So I invited 2 companies to give a little 5-10 minute overview on what they do, how has the US Department of Commerce assisted them. And with Margie, I've known her for probably 4 years now, and we've had plenty of meetings, conversations, back and forth. She's joined a few webinars, but I feel like I haven't helped her as much as I want to, and the capabilities that we have and that she has. Like all great companies, she started in her own kitchen, right? Developing nutritional food, allergen-free food, because her kids had allergic reactions to the food that was being sold. So it's a great story. It's an incredible solution. And Margie, I'm still happy to help. I want to help you, and hopefully we can get things done. But any updates that you have would be great. So go ahead, Margie.
Hi, Margie Traxler. So Grain-Free Mamas, like Hector said, it started because my own child got sick. And but the thing that I met Hector like 4 years ago, and as we've continued to grow, and I'm not going to lie that pandemic slowed down growth, but it didn't hurt us because I could sit in a holding pattern. The ingredients for my products most of them are not grown in America, but we're manufactured in America. We have our packaging that's here, and that's where the government can come in and help. Hector's helped me before when I had interested distributors that wanted to talk to me from different parts of the world. And he was able to have his people vet those contacts. I was reached out to by Korean companies, and I was able to talk to him. He was able to talk to his people on the ground to find out if it was somebody that was trying to scam us or if it was a viable contact. And that was super helpful. I know even with ingredients, if we find a grower of an ingredient, sorry, got a phone call from my daughter, but they can actually go in and go and have one of their people in that country go and vet that buyer, in addition to setting up meetings like he said. And the thing that we're talking right now is with the Trade Winds mission in Dubai, and they were able to actually put out our product information to different countries to find out which countries are actually interested in our products. And because our products are kosher and they're going to be halal as well, they're organic, grain-free, gluten-free, no sugar, then that's something that's really interesting to other countries. And so the opportunities to grow with the government helping is fabulous. We've had people reach out to us from Israel, from Europe, from all these different countries that want our products. And if you're a new company, how do you even know, where to get started. The other thing that I wanted to mention too, that on the WELL-TI, it's Women Empowered Leave Legacy Through Trade and Investment. I was just on a virtual event with that, and that is also so super helpful because they're such, and actually at the Trade Winds mission, March 8th is actually International Women's Business Day. And so they're going to have an event even there, a one-day event in Dubai for that. And that is something that I really like. I know that these products will go worldwide. And if I didn't have the government supporting me, it'd be a daunting task. So that's what I wanted to say. I don't know if there's any questions, but thanks for having me. And thank you, Hector.
Thank you, Margie. And
Margie, that was,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, that was awesome, Margie. Tiffany here, and it's so nice, Hector, for you to actually bring someone into the room, into the space, who actually has used your services. Because yeah, talk about daunting just from a startup or a small business owner. It's like, wow, Margie, you met Hector 4 years ago. Where did you start? Where did you begin? Because those stories are priceless to our community in just processing all of this information.
And one note, Margie was invited to the Trade Winds in March 2022 to the Middle East. Whether Margie goes or not, that's a different story, but she was invited. And again, this year we're only inviting 125 companies and throughout the US. So you're not only competing on viability, you're also competing with other companies in other states that may have a similar product. And there's a lot of levels of competition. There's bandwidth competition. There's only so many meetings my colleagues can make under their industry portfolios. So hopefully Margie can make it, but if not, it's okay. There's the rest of the world, and maybe March 2022 doesn't make sense, but for Margie, we'll see. Any questions for Margie? We can, or do you want to do it at the end, Tiffany?
Oh yes, we can do Q&A if you'd like near the end.
Okay. Yep. And okay, so I'll move on to the next slide then. Thank you, Margie. And this is what's there? We'll see to the next slide, and then the second company wasn't able to be live. He did send me an email. They have a family emergency that he had to attend, but it's quality corrections and inspections out of Henderson, Nevada. And their solution is pretty interesting because they sell a service, right? They sell a service to companies that are importing into the United States. So whenever, let's pick a shirt, and the shirts arrive from a company, that are missing buttons. Instead of the company rejecting it and having it to spend more money going back, correcting it, quality correction inspections, they'll take the clothes and fix them here in Henderson, Nevada, and that way it saves the company cost. So that's so we're helping imports, but it's they'll service the money that's being paid to quality corrections is coming from another country, so that's considered an export dollar, and so that's an export in the eyes of the federal government. And he wrote, and I'll read it. He said, as I think about how I engaged, I first started by reaching out to me, Hector, sharing our interest in reaching overseas prospects so that you would have knowledge when opportunities arise. From that, you've connected or invited us to meet potential contacts at major local shows. You've identified a STEP grant and encouraged us to apply for an overseas trade show / trade mission. That was a success, as we were awarded a grant that helped us pay for some of the expenses. And you facilitated introductions to your peers in overseas countries to open some doors to contacts and companies for us to build future development opportunities. Through all of this, we are increasingly top of mind with your team, and now some of the overseas contacts when they need our services. It's much like being part of a chamber. The more you engage and be visible among members, leaders, etc., you may have opportunities to grow. So that was from Jeff Leake. He's the business development person there. He's incredible, does a lot for the company, and they've been pretty successful even through the pandemic because of the shortages that occurred during that time. So that's quality corrections and inspections out of Henderson, Nevada. Let's go on to the next slide. And as I mentioned, for companies that don't sell product services, but they have a base here in Las Vegas, there's many ways where I can still provide assistance, because everyone who comes to Las Vegas, any trade show, doesn't matter, they'll say, hey, Hector, where should I eat? Where can I find this? Where can I do that? And they think I'm Mr. Las Vegas. They think I know the answer to everyone. So my ask is, tell me what's good. Tell me what you have to offer to the international community. And through these shows, World of Concrete, NAB, Waste Expo, CES is coming in January. We usually recruit about, pre-pandemic, we would recruit about 1,200 vetted foreign buyers to that show. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that, I'll look at it myself. You'll see that I created a PDF with industries. And the first one that you'll see here, it says travel and tourism. And it shows Cirque du Soleil. And if you can move the slides to the next slide, please. Once it gets there, you'll see, but oh, there we go. And someone said, why do you have Cirque du Soleil there? They're so big, they sell so much. Yes, true. But Cirque du Soleil told me that during trade shows, their viewership goes down because the buyer, the tourist, or not the tourist, the person who comes for the conference or the trade show is really focused on the trade show, and they have meetings in the afternoons, and they kind of don't, even though it's Las Vegas and there's plenty to do, it's a little overwhelming when they didn't do their research. It's not a vacation, in that sense. So they want to promote their shows to this audience so they can get butts in the seats, right? So even a company like Cirque du Soleil, they said during trade shows is actually it goes backwards for them. They lose business during that time. And I created this. Like for CES, I will update this because I have a few more companies that want to be a part of this PDF. And I have travel tourism, I have energy, environmental tech, services, and I'll send this out to my colleagues around the world that are recruiting for CES, and they in turn will send it to their buyer delegates who they recruited to come to the show and say, hey, when you're in Vegas, here are companies that also export and provide services, just in case some of them fit. You see Exotic Racing is on there, Lip Smacking Food Tours. This is the travel and tourism, but I have it for everyone else. So if you have something for a foreign buyer, happy to put you on and let those 1,200 buyers learn about what you have to offer while they're in Las Vegas. Next slide.
Awesome.
Next slide is the strategic partners. With everyone, I presented to all the chambers of commerce. I haven't with the urban chamber. It's been a few years, but I think everyone's been a few years now. So I'm glad I was invited back to give a presentation. And any of your members that want to have one-on-one conversations, happy to engage. And my information will be down below. Next slide, it shows I do have a monthly newsletter for Nevada, and it shows opportunities, the leads. Sometimes I put the manufacturer of the month or exporter of the month. This one is for October, and I showed it was October's manufacturing month. So I showed a few of them that had tours, that were providing tours. during that month for the local community. So there's a lot of information here. It's only once a month. Things got busy and I didn't do November, and I guess I can try to do December before the end of the year. But yeah, right now it's just me and my director. There's two of us for all of Southern Nevada. We are there. December 8th, the announcement closes for a new trade specialist like myself that's will be hired sometime in summer, I believe. Takes a few months, but the announcement is out and we are looking for a new body to help. I should have put it on here, but I can provide that link to Tiffany and to send it out if anyone wants to apply for the federal government. It's a burdensome application, but what isn't, right?
Awesome, Hector. That
And
would be great.
Last slide, it just shows my contact information, the industries that I cover, which is everything, and my email address. So send me an email, happy to engage. And you know, any questions, we still have Margie on the line and myself.
Awesome, Hector. Thank you. Fantastic. Do we have a question? I think I saw a question pop up in Q&A online.
That's right.
For our on-home viewers.
Oh yeah. You want to read
And
it,
I believe
Tiffany?
Sure. Can we, let's see. Yes, there are 4 questions. Let's see.
Oh, I see. The first question was, does Margie do business in Kenya? You're on mute, Margie.
I did put in an answer to that. I've actually spoken with one of the personnel in the government, like healthcare system in Kenya. We're having like just beginning ongoing conversations because they too are interested in the products. I've had that too, like in Portugal as well. The doctors, they want to see the products available for them. They actually do Medicare. They're much more proactive than America. And so they would prescribe them to people that need to eat on a special diet. So I am getting more and more conversations that way.
Awesome.
And someone asked, Bill on Melvin's question. You see it, Tiffany?
Yes, can we get some of our Urban Chamber members on the B2B list? What is the process? That's a great question. I was thinking about that as well, Hector. What is that process? Do we just email you and let you give us, you know, what do we need to give to you to get that process started?
Yeah, whoever wants to be on the B2B list, one, you know, if it's a product, solution, or service, then it has to contain 51% US content. That's for exporting, right? But if you're if you provide a service in town for foreign buyers or for delegates who are coming to visit, then I started adding that because they asked me, where can I do this? Where can I do that? Then I can I'll provide what it looks like. Tiffany, I can send it to you. And then it's just a short paragraph on you. Well, not you, but your service that you're providing, whatever you're selling. Again, it's not for me, it's not for the US person, it's for the international person, right? So that's the audience. And then I'll put your name on their website or whatever it is. And it'll look, if you go back to slide 14, that's exactly, I don't know if you can go back some to the Cirque du Soleil. Yep, you know, I put their website. And then you know, Chris Barley is the contact there. And for him, all these people said, yeah, here's my emails. So they can click on Chris Barley's email name and it'll get an email. And that's the description that so for Cirque du Soleil, they said for groups of 10 plus or VIP experience, right? Because these are delegations coming in. So again, the audience is the international buyer. It's not anyone here for the US, it's for the international market.
That's awesome.
So something, and of course I asked for their logo too. So things like that. It's really simple. I made it myself. It's not glamorous, but buyers do read it. And when they're here, they, you know, I had a buyer, I guess 2 years ago, they he wasn't even a buyer. He was a press for the SEMA show from out of South Africa, I believe. And we were talking, he knew my colleague, and we're all having coffee talking. And he said, "Oh, I gotta go because my friends are at the dam. They're visiting the dam, and I'm gonna go with them." And I said, "Why aren't they here?" They're like, "Oh, they don't do cars. They do X." And then he said, "Actually, they're trying to open operation in the U.S." And I said, "Well, I know the officials here in Las Vegas. Do they want to talk to them? To maybe they want to come to Nevada?" So I set up a meeting for them, and they met the officials here, and possibly bringing their manufacturing to Las Vegas. And that's how this thing started. I was like, well, they don't just come for automotive. I don't know who's coming. And this group of friends, there were 5 of them, not even nowhere remotely near the automotive industry, but they had other, they came just because his friend was coming as press.
No, it makes sense. And those conventions, there's so much going on a global level. This service that you are doing for local business owners, B2B matchmaking, when following the process, is really big to those business owners that had no idea about it before. And that was really what today was about, was just to get some information to our local business owners, Hector. So that's super exciting. I have another question. When you were talking about trade wins and, delegations coming into the U.S., but then our business owners going abroad, are you directly in partnership with the Governor's Office of Economic Development, GOED, the STEP program? Because it sounds similar. They were here with us last month, and do you two work together in partnership? I saw that in the slide presentation. Could you break that down in simple terms for us?
Yeah, part of what we do at the federal government, we're separate entities. They're state, we're federal, but we support all the anything that overlaps with exporting, we support. So Diana and Pavel and the team there at GOED, we are in lockstep because our goals are in line. The STEP grant is an export grant, so that's why when we provided the trade winds opportunity, GOED said, well, we'll just jump on that one to do a trade mission and bring the Las Vegas companies with them. That way we can still do the work, but yet they can provide the support that companies need when on a trade mission.
That makes sense.
And the same thing when reverse trade mission, when delegations come to Las Vegas, Diana and the team usually will email me and say, hey, we have this delegation coming. Here's what we're planning to do. What else could we do? So we're always in conversation.
That makes sense, and that feels good. As the Global Roundtable brings on more and more guests, it starts to kind of come together. And so that's exciting. Margie, I have a question for you, just to kind of put things together from a very beginner's perspective. Your product is manufactured and put together in the state of Nevada, but you also source products from different countries. But because it's put together here and then
well, I actually, so my contract packager, my contract packaging company isn't in Nevada proper because there's no facility that can do my products, which are gluten-free, grain-free. That my hope is to build a facility in the Vegas Valley that would actually employ a lot of people here, but also then we'd be able to package directly here. But I have had a contract packaging company on the West Coast, and Hector knows right now, I'm looking to the East Coast because the West Coast is all locked up. The ingredients are grown all over the world. Different ingredients. Some are grown in America. That's another thing that I would like to get into is zero waste water farming in the Vegas Valley, that kind of like what they did to the Fertile Crescent in Israel. And so those are future products that I have, but because my packaging and everything else, and it's produced here and everything, that's why, because the ingredients are a very small portion of the cost of goods. You know, a lot of it goes in, unfortunately, to the packaging, the packagers, the
Right.
transporting.
It's less than 51%, which makes it eligible to partner with U.S. Commercial Services,
Yes,
right? Okay,
yes.
cool.
And
And
I,
it doesn't matter if her packaging is on the East Coast, it's the US. It doesn't matter where it's being put together as long as it's here in the US. If it was in the maquiladoras in Mexico, different story. I would say, Margie, good luck. We'll talk to you when you come back.
sayonara.
Okay, fantastic. What is another question? Oh, I did have a question. Thank you, Margie. Having to do with the MBDA. Hector, it looks like Minority Business Development Association passed, what is it? The Act of 2021 for women and minority women in business. Can you talk to us a little bit about that for our women? What does that mean to us in Las Vegas?
That just, again, that's the administration's new target. We've had a couple of rounds of conversations, the whole domestic team being given the new guidance, right? And the new guide, well, it's not new guidance. Like someone asked me, oh, do you help the Latino community or the African-American community? I'm like, I help whoever is 51% US content, whether you are whatever you are.
Right.
But there is a focus on rural right now for quite some time, on the minority communities, the Native American communities, and women. So, you know, and really, it's everyone who I'm working with already. Again, because, you know, for our main decision factor is 51% US content. However, there is a strong push right now through the administration. And when an administration has their policy goals, like Prosper Africa and MBDA, focus on women, then we do more services that are geared to those groups, if that makes sense. So I did link them. You can read, and it just there's not much to read on there because it's the bird's eye view. It's the vision. What we do, what comes down to us is the services that we can provide for them, right? Like for Urban Chamber, perfect timing, right? Because I think we're given guidance 2-3 weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving. So we report up. You know, I'll report that I gave a presentation with the Urban Chamber. You know, and it you know, there's different boxes that are checked because of that, right? I would have, if I wouldn't have received that guidance, I would have still done it. Doesn't matter, but it just shows that information is being pushed up to the 5th floor for us, which is Department of Commerce, the Secretary of Commerce, and then to the administration, the White House, and Congress, whoever.
I was reading an article put out through, because you can get the newsletter, right, from the U.S. Commercial Service and what's going on. And the article about the MBD, it was saying that the Minority Business Development Act of 2021 is one of the most significant pieces of legislation impacting the minority business community in the last 50 years. And that they're looking forward to helping lead the agency's transformation at, you know, this critical juncture in our nation's history, which I know is on everyone's mind as small business owners. What is constantly changing at the federal level that you're at? That's why it was such a pleasure, and I'm so pleased that the timing, like you said, of just us getting together, sharing the story, sharing the information, sharing the resources, linking it under, and then whoever watches understands that they can reach out to you with their specific questions to their specific businesses in moving forward.
And Tiffany, on the ground game, Margie, if you can just highlight a few things that you were on that webinar that I think it was last week. If my weeks are a little gray right now, but if you can comment on the webinar that you took place, because that's really where Margie's going to get information. I believe it was with Saudi Arabia, women in Saudi Arabia, correct?
Yes, it was. And the panel was fabulous. They bring in the Saudi princess that deals with a lot of the export was on there too. And the women are there. If you go to that portion of the government site where it's the wealthy, so women empowering the legacy, if you go into there, you can click in there and you can actually they have it where you can connect with them directly. And so, you know, depending on what your things are, like what your needs are, to connect with them directly would be fabulous. Like I'm really trying to work it out so that I can go to Saudi Arabia, partly for the whole forum, but also partly for the Women in International Women's Business Day event. It's a one-day event that they're having on March 8th. So, and that's part of that Trade Wind Summit in Dubai. So it is just reaching out to the people. And is it just, Hector, I think you just go on if you put in Welty dot, you know, under let me see if I can do it in Google, but I'll put it, if I can figure out what the link is, I'll put it down in Google. Otherwise I would have to put it in later, but yeah, there are direct links to people and they were really good. It was a very good seminar.
And that's our ground game right there. You know, we have the guidance, and then we're developing through our Department of Commerce, at least for us, for commerce, and then USAID will do the same thing. Other agencies will develop their services that they can provide under that umbrella of women empowerment or Prosper Africa or Looking South, you know, but we have to develop services that cater towards those sectors, industries, or groups of individuals that are the focus. And right now, Africa is a big deal. So we're gonna develop. I mean, pandemic kind of, you know, like everything else, has interfered, but we're starting to roll out new services.
That's awesome, because I know, yeah, Africa is on a lot of people's minds. Spending time there last year with my husband's company and just seeing all of the investors and the partners on the continent from all over the world, it's what made me run back to the state of Nevada and start reaching out to our resources, because I'm like, hey, Vegas on the ground, on the continent. So I know, Victor, I'm going to be reaching out to you to set up an appointment for a one-on-one Zoom.
Okay.
Which I love Zooms, just to go ahead and get the ball rolling in conversation and where we're at with our companies and what steps we need to do to project into 2022, 2023, and just get that information one-on-one.
Yeah, and just I guess the last note for companies that wanted to reach out to me, and Margie's a perfect example. We've known each other 4 years. I've known a company for 6 years, and I still, you know, it's still developing, right? Sometimes it takes a while to do business, you know, to set up the right, you know, Margie's is a little more complicated because, you know, it's gonna, but Margie, once it's all said and done, she's gonna, you know, be the governor next, you know, in a couple of years. But you know, it's a good solution for a big group of people that have been identified that have those allergens, those you know, I'm sure every day we hear more and more people that have those issues that need a new source of nutrition. So, you know, she's come up with that product. So but it does take a while, right? I mean, it's not, and it does take capital. A lot of companies that I help, we're at a wall because there isn't capital to grow, or there isn't capital, or they're waiting for that investment, or so. You know, the federal government, as much as we say we can provide grants and all that, we don't provide money. So indirectly, yes, always, but a lot of the companies that are trying to grow, their issue is financial, and we can't help there.
I did drop that link in there
Okay.
for people. I found it, but also just to tell you too, like that is the biggest thing is you know, I know that there's a lot of movement to even the playing field and stuff, but also you know, it's going to take time because, you know, even though you decide you want to you talk about change until change becomes normal feeling, people are a little more reluctant, especially with their pocketbook. And so I just, it's just another obstacle to work through it, just if it doesn't beat you, it's going to make you stronger. So
I like that. That's the truth.
I have a question
This
for
hour
Melvin.
has been
Are you working with
impactful.
any solar manufacturers? Solar's a tough one. We just had Solar Power International here in Las Vegas. Actually, it was in New Orleans, it got canceled, but we were supporting it. And we do support that industry. It's just a difficult industry. But if you are a solar manufacturer, it's a US product, then yes, we can assist.
So sorry. I don't know whose phone that is. Okay. So sorry, Hector.
Oh, no worries. And again, my email is at the last slide, so you can leave it there. That way people can see it, and happy to chat with you in the coming weeks.
I appreciate it. This hour has been packed full of information. We give thanks to everyone who showed up today at the chamber. Thank you, gentlemen, and everyone online. Again, this is going to be recorded, and I will be sharing. Urban Chamber will be sharing. And happy first of the month. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, Hector.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.